Welcome to this new part of the journey tutorial. Today we will be talking about Pink Desert Speedrun. So in the realm of drop shoot and level boost, it's all we'll be using in this level. So it might be one of the easiest level to speedrun, but there is still a lot to it, and I think it's a good one to start off with, because what you will learn in there will be useful for the entire speedrun. So if you're a rather new journey player, maybe don't bother learning a route. Know the main idea is to go from start to finish as much in a straight line as you can, but other than this you are quite free to drop shoot on whatever dune you like, camera up or towards the camera, you know, there is two ways of boosting, and yeah, you do what you want, and it's fine. You can take two symbols in chapter select if you want to help you out with the drop shoots. Otherwise you just go for it. Just a little reminder, if you play on PlayStation version, be aware of 6-axis, so really avoid moving your controller during the drop shoot when you do this, or the camera will most likely flatten. So on your first run, you will most likely drop shoot with the camera fully down. Maybe it will flatten sometimes, it's okay. When you'll boost, you go fully to the sky, then down, up, down, and it's completely normal to do so. It's only by practicing that little by little you will flatten your camera angles during the dives and the boosts, but don't try to do this right away, because you will just end up running out of boost most likely. So yeah, it's a normal step. So it would look a bit like this. If I were a new runner, that's what I would do. Boost at the top of a dune of sand. So this means letting go of the jump button after you have stopped making contact with the sand, otherwise you will stay stuck to it and just start sliding instead. So this is a very common mistake. So here you flick your stick and you release jump now. You boost up to gain some height. It's okay to run out of boost and have a slow camera angle. It's over time you will learn to fight this. Then you flick, you boost at the top of this dune of sand here, you dive again. So let's go. We try to land at the bottom of dunes of sand or against the slope, but here you wouldn't want to land like over there, you know, you wouldn't stick to the ground. So if you see that you are not going to land at a good location, maybe it's the moment to jump in the air to land a little bit further, or even flatten the camera a bit to travel further away. But yeah, always aim for the bottom of dunes of sand or the middle of them, to have a bit of time to charge against it and then boost at the top. Or a flat ground surface is flat too, I guess. If you want to start another drop shoot, you jump towards the camera like this once or twice, you start again, you can boost, try to dive again, drop shoot at the bottom of a dune of sand, and you boost, you dive again. So I think if it's your first run, it would be a cool thing, you try to grab this first symbol over there, so you boost up, then you dive. So for this you aim right at it or a little before it, and when you are at the correct height, just press and hold jump. Like basically if the symbol is here, you could dive and go directly to it, or you dive a little before it, and when you're at the right height, you press and hold jump. This way you will move like this, straight at it, and you can't miss it. That's why I do it underground level too as well. So like this, and then you catch it, you hold jump because it refills your scarf. Then I think here it's a good idea to boost towards the camera, because as you may know, when you aim the camera up, what it does is it takes you a bit of time to do this camera movement, and a bit of the boost power is used during the camera movement and doesn't contribute to giving you more height. So instead, if you turn the camera sideways first and move towards it like this, you will immediately start gaining height, and you will end up a little bit higher. So if your boost is a bit weak, or you have a huge dune ahead of you and you don't want to drop shoot alongside it for a long time, it might be better to boost like this. So let me show you again. I will just chirp the flyers instead this time. So let's say I hold jump, so you turn the camera sideways like this, and then you move towards it like here. You push the camera down, then you turn the camera sideways again, and you go for a new drop shoot. So you press and hold jump and get the slope, you flick, and then you arrive at the last dune. So here you have two options, or either you manage the good drop shoot and you will be able to get some sort of boost, and then it shouldn't be too hard to reach the ending platform, But in case you missed it and you arrive here with absolutely no boost, learn to do a level boost. You only need 3 jumps, it's completely enough. So for this you would push the camera down, you start diving, you flatten, and you start jumping once, and you should get you can aim the camera a little more down if it was too flat, and then you can boost towards the camera like this in order to gain a lot of height, or you can aim the camera up. Both are fine in this case because you should have done a dive long enough to gain enough boost with both techniques. It's easier to aim with the camera up, actually. When during your last drop shoot you manage to get a good enough boost, the idea is to gain a bit of height. So for this, when you lift off the top of the dune, now up, you boost, and then you start a new dive. So here, very important, I see a common mistake. Some people, you waste almost their entire scarf before getting into a dive after a boost. So, Sancho Panda, I look at you. So, so basically, what it means is they do this jump, jump, and then when they start the dive, they can't jump anymore. So basically, they would lose height very quickly during the dive, and they won't manage to boost high either. So really important, you use your jumps when you're fancy fly. For any techniques, you are allowed to use your jumps only during a dive. 99% of the time you want to jump only when you're in a dive. So this means, let me show you again. So here I chirp to slow down and charge a more powerful boost. You can do this too if you want, sometimes. So I boost. Let's assume I waste all my all my boost. Camera is slow, so I wait to get into a dive, and now I can jump if I want to. So I empty my scarf slowly, 1 jump every second or even more spaced, and after I've done my last jump is when I boost. So here I was way too high, so I didn't need it to boost actually, but you get the idea. The sort of speedrun route I just shown you is actually the one Bange uses in his speedruns. I have never practiced it, but if you want to learn from someone, watch his runs. He's quite good at Pink Desert level with this route, so you can get inspiration from it if you want. Just a word about rolling. Sometimes when you land for a drop shoot, the wayfarer will do a roll upon landing, and sometimes it can cost you a bit of boost power and sometimes not at all, and it's completely fine, you can just keep on going. To know if you lose boost or not during a roll, the idea is to see if the wayfarer loses speed and it seems like a wrath landing, usually it got you some boost power. If it's a very light roll and the wayfarer keeps on going like nothing happened, it's completely fine and you kept on charging. And if you saw some rolls during my speedrun tutorial, just have a look at the boost power thing from Pexa to know and recognize which case it was. See, this was a good roll, and this one was terrible. We've had just the 2 examples in a row. So yeah, you saw the first one, I didn't lose any speed, the second one was very brutal and I started losing boost. But you can't do much to prevent it, it will happen from time to time, sadly. So now I will tell you about the route I am using in Pink Desert level and most runners actually, and I will go maybe a little more into details regarding what to do. So this is for more advanced players, maybe a little. So the idea on your first dune, you know, the camera is a bit slow to get into a diving position at the start of the level. So you can use like 2 jumps in the air, like the first one, then second one, and then you'll manage finally to start diving and drop shoot on this dune. So you can have either the camera fully down or very slightly flattened. It's fine because this dune ends up quite high, so you don't need to boost very high. You can just boost flat for like a second and then dive again, you know, so you don't need the best of the boosts. So let me show you what it would look like for me. So there I would jump, I would have to do a second jump before being able to dive, then I dive, I flick, and then little boost and I dive again immediately. You see, I just had my camera flat, didn't even go up. Flat for not even a second and then dive again. That's all you need for speed purposes. So this would mean you would land over there here at the corner of this shadow, This is where I land, and my goal is to go right at the mountain, more or less. Actually, you can see this map from QTZL, which is shared on the wiki. He did wonderful maps, very detailed. And it can be useful to draw a line on it to see the optimal speedrun route, because it's just straightforward and Pink does it. So there I would do my drop shoot. For this drop shoot you don't need to have a camera angle a lot down, because once again you don't need a huge boost. I would actually boost at the top of the dune of sand that is in here. And I just want to boost and dive again. So your camera angle can be still a bit flat. It's perfectly fine. This is what my first drop shoot would look like after the top dune. So I land in there, camera is a bit flat, I flick, and I boost in there, up, camera up, and then I dive again. Alright? So it's important you do this, you dive again before you run out of boost. This is a mechanic that is useful to consider, because you never want to have your camera get slowed down. That's how you lose a lot of time when speedrunning. So yeah, be ready to dive again early. Then here you would land at the top of this next dune. So this is the sort of crater surrounding where the war machine crashed. And here you have two options. The most common one is to go for the war machine banner. This way you do a sort of long level boost dive, and when you boost you can recharge your scarf by touching the war machine banner actually. And me nowadays I go a little bit more on the left, because it's a more straightforward route and I can actually gain like half a second like this, but I will show you both. So first of all, the one with the war machine banner, when you start your drop shoot against this dune, you can have the camera fully down if you want, but you will drop shoot very slowly because the dune is quite steep. I don't recommend it. Choose something in between. And when you arrive at the top of this dune, very important, make sure you aim your camera more down, because a lot of the time when you arrive at the other time, or when you arrive on the other side, it's very easy to run out of boost too early. So this is because you'll have reached the maximum boost power mid-dive in there, so it's important to aim the camera more down to keep on charging more energy. So let me show you it. So I would land at the bottom like this, I flick, and here I aim my camera more down, and I empty my scarf completely. You can empty it completely because you have a banner. In general, you try to always keep one jump in your scarf to land the next drop shoot more easily. But here you can use it all. Usually you'll have 2 jumps, sometimes 3. So to show you what it would look like, I would basically land at the bottom of the dune here, drop shoot, and then I aim my camera a little more down. I usually have 2 jumps, and then you boost like this, and you try to dive again there, avoiding to run out of boost on top of this dune of sand. So if you feel like your boost will be a little weak, try to boost more vertically after hitting the war machine banner. This way you will gain more height, and then you can start a dive early, but you will be so high you can fly over the next dune. While if you aim for the top of this dune directly, the boost will take longer, so you will most likely run out of boost sooner. Try to go for the top of the war machine banner instead of the bottom actually. Here I was a bit low. After going past the war machine banner, you would drop shoot against this next dune over there. So you would land at the bottom of it, and just after you don't boost very high either, you can just flatten it for like this and dive again immediately, because you want to do a short drop shoot on this dune. And once again, against this dune you don't need to have a very steep camera angle, because you don't need a huge boost just after, because as you see you will land more down, so no need to boost very high. So keep the camera flat, so something like this, and then you do a little boost and you dive again. This little plane here is a bit funny, because whenever you go around here is when you will trigger the shooting star, you know, the comet that lands and you get a 3 symbols ahead of you. So the idea is to flick quite hard, because the camera really wants you to look at the comet arriving. So if you don't flick hardly in here, you'll often get your camera flattened very suddenly. so be aware of it. Now the idea is to choose the camera angle before landing for this drop shoot. So for safety measures, maybe aim the camera more down than needed at first. So something like this looks great, and then you fight to keep it like this, and you boost just on the top of this little dune. So basically you drop shoot along this elongated little hill. When you land in there, actually it's important to time precisely the moment you jump. Now the exact moment you touch the sand. Remember, it's easier to land against the dune, you can press the jump button a bit in advance, but against flat ground, time it very precisely. If you don't press jump at the right moment the first time, be ready to press jump a second time when doing second contact with the ground. It's not easy, but it's a good way to recover. And keep on flicking when doing this, otherwise the camera will flatten. Sometimes it happened to me to run out of boost before landing, like this. In this case, try to land in there like this. You see, I turned the camera sideways to drop shoot against a steep dune. This way my drop shoot stuck to the ground even with an empty scarf, and then you can turn the camera back forward to continue drop shooting. Since I want to travel fast here, I don't aim immediately with the camera a lot down. I instead keep a flat camera angle for as long as I can. Let's assume this is the ground. So I dive with a flat camera angle, I slowly aim it more down to keep on charging energy when I'm about to reach the maximum boost. And I do this, maybe I use one jump at some point to keep on diving longer and land even further. And when I am getting too close to the ground, and I know if I keep on diving like this for much longer, I won't be able to adjust my camera angle anymore, because once you're too close to the ground, you can't aim the camera down. When I reach this point is when I will aim my camera to the angle that will define how much boost I will have by the end of the drop shoot. I will do a rather big camera movement here, and then I will land, keep this camera movement until I boost. So this takes more practice, so I'll show you what it would look like for me. I would do this little short drop shoot in there. Okay, then I do like a jump, aim the camera more down, and then drop shoot. So there I pushed it fully down before landing. Do this boost there, and here important, you dive early. So once you go past the top of this little dune is when it's already time to dive. So it's not easy to choose the right camera angle against this last dune, because if it's too flat you will mess it up, and if it's too steep you will drop shoot very slowly. It will take forever to get to the top of the dune of sand, and most likely your camera will flatten. Because when you have a camera too steep against a steep dune of sand, drop shooting uphill like this, it's super hard, and it's very hard to keep the camera angle nicely for a long time against such a dune. So good luck finding the right angle. It's something like this. Then you fight to keep it like this, and when you're on top of this dune of sand, you do a short boost up. When you do your last drop shoot, don't expect to keep a full scarf after during the boost, because it will happen sometimes, but it depends on the jumping animations. If you are lucky enough to have a jumping animation ending just before you take off, you will keep the full scarf, but if not, that's okay, you will just waste one jump when taking off. You arrive at the top when you arrive at the top, and that's when you boost. With 2 jumps you can make it anyway. It's only when you take off boosting towards the camera after a drop shoot you can really control how full your scarf remains, like I will show in snow level. So depending on the camera angle, your boost can be weak or powerful. Mine is always weak because I try to travel fast, so it's not very easy. I would actually dive again very soon like this. Then I do my 2 jumps. Oh, I got 3 this time, and then boost. So for the style points, you boost through this little window, but if you don't want the style points, you just boost next to it in there. And the idea now for the chirp is to get all the tombstones together. So for this, because of if you chirp before you run out of boost, your chirp will be projected forward, and you can release it in here actually, before going through the window. And you will get every one of them. If you are running out of boost over there before you chop, maybe chop a tiny bit later to make sure you get them all. This tombstone over there is usually the one that doesn't want to light up, so be aware of it. So I didn't tell you yet about my new route for Pink Desert at the first half. So the idea is when I boost after this dune in there, instead of going for the war machine, I go a little more to the left in there. Oops, that was a bad drop shoot. So I drop shoot a bit alongside the dune like this. I do usually 3 flaps, maybe 4. And then I hang over the void in there. That's when I aim my camera more down, because otherwise I would reach the maximum boost. So I aim the camera more down and I do 1 or 2 flaps, and then I boost over the dune of sand, so a bit next to the war machine banner actually. So it would look like this. I do my drop shoot, then I aim the camera more down, I boost over it, then I dive again, drop shoot, boost, camera very flat. Here sometimes I will end up scarfless, but it's perfectly fine because the ground here does a very smooth U shape. So if you land at the bottom of it in here and you hold jump while scarfless, you will stick to the ground anyway, and you will just slide alongside it for half a second and then stick to it like this, you know. And then you can boost in there and continue like beforehand. Now I will show you a full speedrun of the entire level, so you get an example of how I do it. So I would be holding jump before even I gain control of the character, already be pushing the camera down. So I do my first jump, then I do a second one in the air, and as soon as I start diving I flatten the camera. Short boost with the camera very flat and dive again immediately, aim for the shadow in there, flick, boost, dive at the bottom of this next dune in there, flick, and when I reach the top I aim the camera more down, otherwise I would reach the maximum boost. When the scarf is empty I go for the banner, dive again over there, very short boost again, dive, press jump, a little before touching the ground actually because I land against the dune, then drop shoot, I flick very hard because of the comet about to land, boost, and then here it's very important to choose a nice camera angle and to flick very hard, because the camera really wants to flatten. Then you boost, and dive again. Usually you'll have 2 jumps, sometimes 3 if you're lucky. And then you aim for the window if you want the style points. If not, it's fine. And jump now. So you saw I was looking at the lights from the tombstones going, and when they were halfway towards the light circle is when I pressed jump. This allows you to get a perfect sit 100% sure, because otherwise you'll have to position yourself in the circle a little bit on the right, and it's very rare the wayfarer just chooses to directly sit. Instead he will usually take a step or 2 before sitting, and it can cost you half a second easily. So it's a cool thing if you learn to jump off like I did. You position yourself anywhere in the light circle and you just jump when you see the tombstone's light arriving to the circle. Then when the carpet gets released, the idea is just like at the start, you press jump and push the camera down, or not actually, because you won't be diving. You aim a little right of the carpet, and the moment it starts moving, you jump. Okay? This is the most quickest way to get transported to Sunken City. If you go directly to the carpet, it's a bit slower, so just go a little bit right, not too much, and jump when it starts moving towards you. Alright, that's it. See you now in underground level for the next tutorial.